In fact, it has arrived. Hannah Krantz is going to help us out with it today. Everybody check out Hannah on youtube.com/thinktank. Ooh. Hannah, what's up? What do you got for me?
Okay, first up, Mark Nesser wants to know if you ever think of doing investigative reporting on TYT instead of just political and social commentary.
Totally. I would love to do that. It's in the plans. I know we've got a lot of things in the plans. Actually, what you might be surprised by is that it requires a lot of infrastructure. You need legal, you need a lot of things. So it's a pain in the ass to put together, but we really, really want to do it. Give us some time. Next.
Okay, next up is Eric Wonderly asked, what is the difference between a liberal and a conservative?
Liberals are right, conservatives are wrong. Okay, no, seriously. Liberals believe in being open-minded and are open to change. Conservatives want to protect things as they are. Now, look, it seems like I'm framing it as liberals are positive, but you could frame it in terms of conservatives believe in tradition and that there's value in tradition, and there's a reason why we've been doing things that way for a long time. You know, Judeo-Christian heritage, marriage has been this way for centuries, they would say, yada, yada, right? So that's why you'll have a lot of liberals on the coast and a lot of conservatives in the middle of the country, because the conservatives stay, because they're against change. They grow up in Kansas, you want to stay in Kansas. The people who grew up in Kansas don't want to stay in Kansas, they go to the coast. They're more open to change, they're more liberal. These are rough, of course, and they're just, guidelines, but we're in the middle of a Twitter storm. Best I could do. Next.
Jay Wang wants to know, if Justice Clarence Thomas retired, who do you think would be his likely successor post-presidency, Barack Obama or Eric Holder?
Now, of course, it depends on who the president is, and they'll decide. And if you're asking me, would I want Barack Obama or Eric Holder as the Supreme Court justice, my answer is actually no. I think that they do not have a healthy respect for the Constitution. Eric Holder is the guy, yeah, he did a lot of positive things, but he also did some terrible things, let alone not prosecuting the bankers. But he's the guy who said due process is not judicial process. I mean, that's crazy talk. That lets the executive do whatever they want. I don't want that guy anywhere near the Supreme Court bench. And, of course, Barack Obama was his boss, and he's the one that asked him for that opinion and was happy to receive that opinion. And I can list many other violations of the Constitution that I think Barack Obama did in abusing his executive authority, not in the same way the Republicans think, in real ways. So there's far more progressive, far more qualified people for the bench, if you ask me. Next. And you did. It's a Twitter storm. You asked me.
Tinashe Mags wonders, why are there no legal proceedings against prosecutors or judges that knowingly hide evidence resulting in overturned convictions?
Because they're in charge. And look, their official reason is, like, you can't question our judgment on all these cases, then you're going to put me in jail for everything I did if I got it a little wrong here or there, right? But the reality is there's oftentimes prosecutors who hid evidence in super malicious ways, and sometimes judges that help them, and they're not going to get prosecuted because they're the powerful, and they'll come up with both some justified reasoning and some BS to say, oh, well, what could we do? We were just trying to do the best we can. So it's a very rare case where they'll go to trial. It almost never happens. Next.
Okay, so Miguel Rabines is opposed to Obama's drone strikes, but he wants to know what the difference is between that and FDR's bombing of Dresden.
That question is too difficult. Next. No, I'm kidding. All right. So, no, it is a hard question. Look, the answer is we've been getting better, which is a good thing. So, like today, if we went to go firebomb a place, even if it was held by Nazis, and Dresden was not, the Nazis ran the German military, but Dresden was full of German civilians, right? And so the firebombings that we did, let alone the nukes we dropped in World War II, was terrible, right? And a lot of people think it was a necessary evil, and we were in the middle of an actual existential war, whether we existed and Europe existed and Britain existed, et cetera, or we didn't. Now we have a lot of fake existential wars. We have wars of optional wars where we go on the offense for countries that didn't even attack us. So those are two different situations. But even back then, it was horrible what happened. And in fact, Robert McNamara, who's well known for Vietnam, but actually planned a lot of the bombings of Tokyo and Japan during World War II, said if we had lost, we would have been tried as war criminals. It's really interesting. But we've gotten better since then. Now, the drone strikes are bad. They're not anywhere near as bad as the firebombing of Dresden, honestly. But I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forwards. I want to get better so that we don't kill it, or we try our hardest to not kill any civilians, and certainly not to do it on purpose. All right, next.
Okay, so Tim Gruber's stirring up some drama. He wants to know what's the worst lie you've ever told.
Jerome's. I have never told a lie. No, look, we built a show around honesty partly because I don't like lying. It's a pain in the ass. You got to keep track of your lies. You feel guilty. I didn't even feel guilty about lying to my parents. That's kind of a dork I was. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I told my mom something that wasn't true. Okay, anyway, have I lied to girlfriends in the past? Were they terrible? Okay. But the one lie I remember is when I was a kid, I was 4th or 5th grade or something, and I had a crush on Carrie Mordoff, and some guy found out, because everybody had a crush on Carrie, right? And so they'd go around, and one day some kid points at me, he's like, Cenk, oh, I heard you love Carrie. And I was like, no, I don't. Khan does. And Khan was a friend of mine, right? I'm like, and I felt bad about that lie for 20 years, right? And one day I pulled Khan aside. I'm like, Khan, I'm so sorry, man. I threw you under the bus. That's why everybody came and was like, oh, you love Carrie. Do you remember that? It's like, no, of course I don't remember that. It was in 4th grade, you idiot. Who gives a shit? We moved on. And I was like, oh, that makes me feel better. So I don't like lying. Okay, next.
Okay, and last one. Tina Trana wants to know if you could have anyone stuck in an elevator with you for an hour, who would that be and why? She also wants to add, love your show, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So this actually comes from the Facebook Q&A that I just recently did. If you want to watch or check out the whole Q&A, go to facebook.com/JenkUgerOfficial. Not any of those bullshit poser Cenk Ugers, okay? Cenk Uger Official. So the whole Q&A, I didn't get to that question. That's a good question. It's a tough question. As usual, I was racked with indecision on it. I was like, well, there's a lot of shit I got to get that done at work. So maybe I take somebody from work like Steve, Praveen, Aaron, and we spent a whole hour doing my checklist. And I was like, what are you thinking? Right? And then I came up, my second answer was kind of schmoopy, like, oh, my wife, it'd be nice to have an hour uninterrupted with her. And then I was like, come on, dude. Come on, man. You're an embarrassment. Anyway, then I thought Rosario Dawson. But what am I going to do with Rosario Dawson? I'm not going to cheat on my wife, so I'm going to sit there with blue balls for an hour in an elevator. Anyway, so my final answer is not that great. I just want to learn from somebody I wouldn't have an opportunity to normally have an hour with, so I picked Warren Buffett. Who doesn't want to make money? So I'm like, oh, give me all the advice you got. I got an hour. Let's go. So I don't know that it's a great answer, but it's my answer, and I'm sticking with it. Hannah, thank you so much. Everybody check out Think Tank. Think Tank. Okay, this has been a Twitter storm. Bye.
The storm is coming.